Hi guys. So I've tried to record this once already and it was way too long. I had too many interruptions as well, so I'm going to try this again. Um, you can look at Johnny Depp's beautiful face while I'm speaking. I was just going over the court documents that had been uploaded, and there was a new one uploaded yesterday. And I'm just gonna briefly tell you that it basically went through everything from the beginning of flipping time with this court case. Um, and I found it really difficult to read a lot of it because, a lot of it was Amber Heard's account of what happened, and she's full of baloney. And it was very triggering for me personally, having gone through narcissistic abuse. I knew she's full of crap and she's lying because I've been, in that situation. So they uploaded several documents on September 24th, and basically just talking about, the getting her phones and iPads and everything examined by an expert, and uh, determining that things were photo edited. Well, we knew that, right? I mean, I use a photo editing software frequently because I do pixel art, and photography is a hobby of mine, and so I use those programs a lot. And I knew, looking at her pictures that she would post. I'm not a professional either or an expert, but I mean, I could tell that they had been messed with, and not very good work either. um, but um, she was talking about it basically from the beginning of this thing. It's lots and lots of pages. I think it was like 337 pages, one of them was. And in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, common sense to me says that Johnny Depp doesn't have anything to hide. He's fighting really hard to get her to turn over any real evidence, and she doesn't do it. I mean, if you're innocent, why would you fight so hard to present evidence that you claim proves that you were abused? And it seems like you'd be more than happy to go, here's my phone, here's my computer, here's my whatever. And in Virginia, she's not allowed to submit evidence claiming abuse without Johnny being able to have that evidence tested to be able to prove that it's real, that's authentic. Then, you know, let's see, I'm just briefly mentioning some things that caught my attention that I wanted to talk about. Reading page 24 of the Declaration of Amber Heard, where she talks about how she met JD, was so triggering for me. I mean, I literally was living the same thing at the same time. I had met a narcissistic guy, only at the time I didn't know he was narcissist. I mean, he laid it on thick, much like Amber Heard did. I mean, it's called love bombing. They become exactly who you need in order to win your trust and your affection. And then later, they start the smear campaign against you so that when they finally do discard you, everyone else will believe them and think that you're nuts. That's when you're blindsided and thinking, what just happened? You know, one of the things that's always bothered me is how she says she called him the monster during those times when she says he was drunk or high or whatever. If you're in love with somebody, as she claimed to have been, why on earth would you ever give them that kind of label? No, I'm just saying. Now, as someone who's been through narcissistic abuse, and I was raised by a narcissistic mother, and I have studied narcissism since going through this, since realizing that's what it was, I have no doubts myself that everything Amber Heard did from the moment she met Johnny Depp was planned out in the hopes that she would gain money and fame while ruining his career out of jealousy. And yeah, it really does come down to that. The narcissist must be the center of attention, and they will go after anyone who gets in the way of that. And they must appear more important than they really are. And they'll use whoever because they have no moral compass. Everything that she's doing is keeping her in the effing spotlight right now. Okay? She doesn't mind dragging it out. Not only because she doesn't want to prove, show evidence that she doesn't have. She likes being in the spotlight like this, even if it's negative. She doesn't care. It's keeping her in the spotlight. It's keeping the attention on her. If you ever heard anyone in Hollywood, you know how they say even bad publicity is good publicity. Okay, this is her right now. She doesn't care. The other thing that the narcissist is really, really good at, guys, is causing you to react in a manner, and this is so important. They cause you to react in a manner that makes you look like you're the nut that they're trying to claim that you are, because they have a way of provoking reactions out of you that aren't characteristic of your normal behavior. So, for instance, in the last few months of my relationship with my ex-narcissist, I started seeing a therapist because I thought there was something wrong with me. Now I became suicidal. I started taking pills to help me sleep. I started drinking more just to deal with my relationship issues. He would make me think that I was overreacting to things. And they have such a way of confusing your own thoughts. That's the gaslighting. And you're not sure anymore what is and what isn't, and it takes its toll on you, and you change. And it's only after the discard or the separation from them that you can start to heal yourself with a lot of work through no contact and possibly therapy, so that the fog can clear and you can become yourself again. I've always felt so bad for JD having to deal with AH since their divorce. I know it seems he's doing well, and I believe for the most part that he's doing great, but having been through it myself, I also know that the sooner he can stop having to see her face, hear her name, and truly put all this behind him, that's when he will be totally free and his healing can be complete. Though I use the word complete lightly, because even today, 5 years later, things will trigger me. I'm also very cautious. I'm not very trusting. I've remained single. I've broken up with guys because any red flag for me is just too much. And I suspect JD may be dealing with some of that also. He gets in those private moments when it's just himself. One thing I know for sure is I would never have attempted. You know how she says, talks about where she slapped him, whatever, and it wasn't a proper slap or punch or whatever. I would never have attempted to hit the man that was abusing me. She seemed awfully brave for someone who claimed to have been abused so much. If it was really so bad, then why did she marry him? I also wonder, and this is just my thinking out loud, I also wonder, in all the allegations that she made where she said that people backed up her claims and said that he did this or did that, how many of those people did she pay to say those things? And even convinced JD that he did those things to her. In those times when she would claim he was drunk or blacked out or whatever, that she would have those people convince him that he did these things to her. Maybe she paid him, I don't know, so that he would apologize, thereby collecting her quote-unquote evidence for later when she decided to do everything that she's doing now. Those are just, thoughts that run through my head. If I drank too much and I blacked out and then I woke up and somebody said, "Oh my God, Dreamer, you did this and that and that and that, and oh my God," and I had no recollection of it, I'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so freaking sorry." And if this happened enough times, yeah, I would be sending the same kinds of text messages, like, "I'm so sorry, this can't keep happening." I just wonder how much of that was fantasy on her part. You know what I mean? Just saying. Just just thoughts. Um, I mean, they in those court documents that were uploaded, there were several pages, where um, she was detailing her claims of abuse in detail, and it was so hard to read. While I was reading it, I was reminded of my mother. Again, my mother's narcissistic. She claimed that my dad used to abuse her. Now, she said he'd hit her and do all sorts of terrible things to her. Now, we were there. Me and my sisters were there. None of the things that she claimed took place actually ever happened. In fact, it was she who left us all the time. It was she who cheated on my dad all the time. And it was she who'd slap us and belittle us. My mom belittles me to this day. I have as little contact with her as I can, because it only takes a second to let your guard down. And boom, she can hurt you with one word and you never see it coming. I remember her throwing bowls at my sister and slapping her in the face with raw liver. I remember her making my sister sleep on the floor next to her bed as punishment for talking and forgetting that she was there. And I remember her throwing shoes at us, hitting us in the car with fly swatters and belts and anything else that she could get her hands on. And yet she claimed that my dad was abusive towards her. It never happened. Daddy never left us. He never did anything but make us feel loved. And I remember it was her who locked us in a room. My baby sister was just an infant. I remember her crying while she went down the street to cheat on my dad. She used to take us to this cottage where this man lived. We were little bitty. Take us to this cottage where this man lived and sleep with him in the very next room. And I was told to take my sisters outside to play. Yet she claimed it was my dad was abusive. When I see pictures of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard together, and I see that look on his face, I recognize that look, which is one of the reasons I started keeping up with this in the first place, because I recognize the narcissistic traits in Amber Heard. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be keeping up with this, to be honest with you, because I don't feel like it's any of our business, honestly. But I started following it because it's the, how do I explain this? For me, for Amber Heard to have to answer for what she's done to Johnny Depp, for me, it's like, yes, finally, a narcissist has to pay for what they've done, because they rarely have to, because they're so good at faking and being whatever the world, whoever wants them to be, and they're so good at making people think that they're the victim and that they're the good guys. And for me, if AH has to answer for what she's done, then it's a win for survivors of narcissistic abuse everywhere. So that's why I'm following this. So yes, when I see pictures of JD and AH, I recognize that look on his face. It's intimidation. It's, you want so badly to ask for help and let people know that something is wrong, but you're afraid. In Johnny Depp's case, I imagine that maybe he was threatened by her with all of the allegations that she's now bringing about him, and my ex-narcissist used to threaten me too, and he'd say that he was an upstanding citizen and in the Army National Guard in charge of communications, and that everyone respected him and loved him, and that they would never take my word over his, and I believed him. And no, he didn't have to pay for anything that he did. In fact, the night I tried to take my life because of it, he told me, and he left it in a voicemail too, and he says, go ahead, I'm not going to stop you. Do what you're going to do. I'm not going to stop you. So, I did. Anyways. So, I also, I kind of wanted to mention here, in the documents that were uploaded, there were copies of the text messages and stuff, and I got to reading them, and then I started skimming them. Because I thought, something about reading these private text messages really bothered me. It felt wrong. Like, I literally felt as if I just walked into Johnny Depp's house, trifled through his drawers, and invaded his privacy. Like, do you ever stop and think, like, when you send a text message to someone, or, you know, an email or whatever, that someday, somewhere, some stranger is going to be reading that message because now it's public domain? You know, or a Twitter post that you make is going to be copied and used in a court of law. I mean, so it started bothering me, so I kind of moved through those text messages as quick as I could, you know, just to get the gist of things, and just tried to move on. And I'm not even kidding. I mean, I felt sick to my stomach the whole time, even doing that. But so this last thing that was uploaded yesterday on September 29th, you know, is Johnny Depp's attorney is seeking reimbursement for the plus $100,000 plus that he's had to spend, that JD's had to spend to oppose all of these ridiculous motions that AH keeps putting in front of the court, you know, to waste time. It seems to me that if you're a true victim of domestic violence and you have evidence of this, then you want swift judgment. You just want it over with so you can put it behind you. And that's not what Amber Heard is doing. JD, on the other hand, is doing everything that he can to get this over with and to try to redeem his reputation. First of all, on that account, I want to say regarding his reputation, if Johnny, if you hear this, where your fans are concerned, there is no love lost. And Johnny Depp's reputation has never been in danger with us. Hollywood, however, has lost many fans, as has Disney, as has WB, because they decided to be judge and jury from the get-go and decided to basically blacklist JD while choosing Amber's side. But then again, I mean, she does seem to have a lot of very powerful friends. You know, and that's a scary thing. So now we wait and see if Judge Azcarate is what she says about this. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I'm personally leaning towards the idea that if I were the judge, man, I'd be so fed up at this point with Amber Heard that I would definitely impose sanctions at this time. I mean, that's the only thing that will make her stop with the ridiculousness of all these motions. So far, she's been allowed to get away with it. And this thing needs to be put to bed already so that Johnny Depp can freely close this chapter using his experiences to help others to become stronger for himself, to heal himself. You know, as I said, and as I have said many, many times before, I do not cover all of this as well as some of the other YouTubers do. You know, the Umbrella Guy, Unbox, E-Hacker does, and Rob's Rules does, and I know I'm leaving people out, and I'm so sorry for that. Darth News does it with flair, and I absolutely adore Darth News, and the way he talks about things. He gets very passionate about them like I do, and I have to reel myself in, you know, but I love the way he does it. You know, if you haven't seen Darth News, you really need to. He's not for everybody. He's really not. But I just adore him. I love him, and I think that if you haven't seen him, you would too. He is funny, and it's seriously entertaining. You get some information as well, and it's presented in such a twisted way that you can't help but laugh. You know, I mean, you just can't help yourself. So you definitely check out Darth News. I talk about this when I feel like there's just information overload for me and I need to get it out. But it's always bothered me, that because there's not, I've said this before, there's not enough money in the world for me to ever want to be famous, ever. Because you lose your privacy. I mean, I couldn't do it. Like I said, it was bad enough when what I went through, it was all over Facebook. Now, I couldn't imagine the whole world, being involved. I mean, I did write a book about it, and I heard somewhere that Johnny Depp was writing a book as well, and songs and all, based on his experiences with all of this. And I hope that's true, and I can't wait to read his book and to listen to his music. It was very therapeutic for me to write my book. I did it partly for therapy reasons and partly to help others, and just to know that you're not alone, because narcissists flip and get away with this crap, don't they? So I'm looking forward to seeing Amber Heard have to answer for all that she's done, and I think that she will. I really believe that she will have to. And for me, it's a win for narcissistic survivors everywhere. He's not just fighting for himself, whether he knows it or not. He's fighting for all of us as well, those who have gone through this crap. It's important that, a narcissist finally have to answer for their terrible selves, Anyways, I don't want to get off on all that again, but, I feel like I have to apologize to Johnny Depp, because just the invasion of privacy, I guess it comes with the territory, and it's sad to say. But again, it's one of the reasons I don't cover it as much as the others. I could never, for one, I could never do it justice, could never cover it as well as the others, because I get too emotionally involved, or too upset about it, that I can't stand back and, just cover it and get it over with. Because because I have been through it, so I do get very triggered by it. But I also feel bad that it's just all so public. I mean, I actually get choked up when I think about it. I mean, the man can't get up in the morning and just like have a cup of coffee, sit out on his porch, and just take take a few minutes to himself, take the day in, and he knows a day that probably doesn't go by that he doesn't have to hear her name. And then, and the public being involved with it. Until all of that stops, he's not ever going to be able to truly heal. He's doing a good job of looking like he is. I believe for the most part he's doing very well. But I also, having been there myself, like I said, and still 5 years later, I still have walls up and things, and so I believe he's dealing with some of that as well. Anyways, doesn't mean much, I'm sure, but just from, one little person sitting here in Virginia, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. you know, I'm just sorry for the lack of privacy. You guys take care of yourselves. God bless, and do something to protect your mental health today. Even if you just take a walk. I love the fall weather. It is perfect for that. God bless. I'll talk to you guys soon. Oh, before I go, real quick, I want to thank my new subscribers that have subscribed to my channel. I know some of you came over from Twitter, thanks to Victoria Clarke having shared one of my videos, who also subscribed to my little bitty nothing of a channel here. So I really want to give a shout out to her and say thank you. And hopefully the information that I bring regarding narcissism is helpful. And in my next video, I am going to cover, it is going to be a narcissistic recovery video. And so I will try to get that up for you at some point over the weekend. Alright, God bless, guys.